the amount of work you have to put in is inversely proportional to your belief level. The more you believe that something is possible, more, to some degree, the less work you have to do, because the mental machinations are going to do more work on your behalf. All right, cool. So, you want to start to repeat the question? Just for the record?
Yes. So I was reading your book, Great Cell Never Dies, and on page 25, starts you start talking about one of the seven truths. And while I was reading up to uh, about the first portion of the book, there was one particular truth that I was very intrigued, and I couldn't stop thinking about throughout the last week.
Okay.
Is the truth of the mind, which you said that the truth of the mind holds that all reality starts first as a thought and a belief, and to achieve any desired end, therefore, you must first make yourself believe in the reality of what you wish to achieve. So my question was, if I'm interpreting correctly, if I believe that I will have a very lean body, very clean body, or if there's something that I really want and desire, all I have to do is just believe that I will have that thing.
All right,
That
cool.
means, Mhm.
Go ahead. That means,
Yes. So that means that I become that thing, or I will achieve this thing if I just think it. And of course, if I put in the work and think.
right, right. So that's an important line that you just added. Put in the work. Okay, so it got me thinking. And the first thing I would say is, when my friends and I first heard about this concept was when a group of us had joined a network marketing company. And for those who are not familiar, those are MLM, multi-level marketing companies, companies like Amway and Excel and Mary Kay. The company I joined was called ACN, American Communications Network. And one of the things that they stress in companies like that is that if you want to change your reality, if you want to stop being an employee and work for yourself now and being an entrepreneur, then you have to change the way you think and you have to change your belief system. And one of the best ways to do that is to immerse yourself in books, audio tapes, situations, and people. Very important to surround yourself with people who think the same way and who think positively and who are doing the thing, or at the very least striving for the thing that you also want to achieve. So that's where a lot of us learned it. And we read books like Think and Grow Rich, The Power of Positive Thinking, books by Les Brown and Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra, and the Think and Grow Rich. I think I mentioned that, Power of Positive Thinking, How to Win Friends and Influence People, The Psychology of Achievement by Brian Tracy. So we read tons and tons of books to get our minds thinking in a certain way. And it worked for a lot of us, because I was one of them. I ended up quitting my job and jumping out as a full-time entrepreneur, leaving the civil engineering behind. So I credit that decision and the ability to follow through on that decision with what I was learning in that community of people. So I believe that, yes, it is possible for you to change your reality. Now, the challenge, however, is that many people, myself included, you want the easy way out. And a lot of people, many people will believe that if they spend, 23 hours of the day in their room staring at their navel, that eventually they can make things happen. And I am sure there are people who can do that. I am sure that there are people who are spiritually and frequency wise in touch with greater powers in the universe that a lot of us are used to invoking. And I'm sure there are people who can make things happen or even seem to make things happen with little effort. Okay. However, for the majority of us, as you said, we have to put in the work. And that got me thinking in terms of what it is that we encountered and what it is I encountered in implementing that truth of belief, that truth of mind that says, all ideas and all reality starts with the thought in mind. So I put something together that I will share with you. So, in order to create the outcome that you want, what I believe is there is like a Venn diagram of what you want, that your goals, your possession, if you want a certain possessions like cars or gold or whatever, and your dreams, your achievements, and I spelled that incorrectly, and relationships. So whatever your goals are, that's what you want. Okay. And then there's what you believe. And in that circle, what I included in that is what you believe about yourself, what you believe about other people, what you believe is possible. Very important. So what you believe has to intersect with what you want, and also it has to intersect with reality. And what do I mean by that? There's a certain reality that each person is going to have to deal with and overcome. So, for example, if you want to be and in that category, I put physics, the reality of physics and gravity and whatever else. There's your physiology, there's your age, there's your competence, there's your circumstances. So those are all elements of reality that can impinge on your journey. So I'll give you an example. So if you want to be an NBA basketball star, so that you're what you want and what you believe and the reality of your situation have to meld in such a way that the likelihood of success is greatest. Okay, so what you believe. If you believe that it is possible for someone 5'6" to become a basketball star, then you're a little bit closer to achieving your dream. But if you don't believe that someone who's 5'6" can become an NBA basketball star, then the circle is effectively spreads apart, if you can visualize that, and the area where all three overlap, their likelihood of success is smaller and smaller. So you have to increase what you believe is in the realm of possibility, and that moves the circle up towards the blue circle and encompasses more of it. So you can imagine a Venn diagram where the lower left circle is moving a little bit more towards what you want. Does that make sense?
Yes, I
Okay.
understand.
And then there's the reality. The reality says that someone 5'6" has to jump a little higher in order to get to the basket. And the reality says that someone who's whatever 50 years old, let's say you're 50 years old, is going to have more challenges to become an NBA basketball star if he's just starting at that age. And then there's the circumstances, your physiology, your muscle mass, all of that stuff. So there's a reality that you still have to deal with. Now, it doesn't mean that it's impossible, but it just means that given what your goal is, and given what you believe, and given the reality of your situation, it'll affect the likelihood of success, and it just means you have to try that much harder. If the area where all three overlap is smaller, then you're naturally going to have to work harder. Make sense? All right.
Yes.
So if they're really spread apart, then you're going to have to work that much harder. But if they are at a point where they're actually overlapping more and more, and you really believe that it's possible, and your physics and your age is young enough, and your physiology is the type, what is it, ectomorph or endomorph or whatever is a certain type that can achieve certain things, then you're on your way to success. But there has to be action on your part, as you said. It won't just happen. You have to, as you said, put in the work. So let me give another example. And this one now is number two. All right, can you see that?
Yes, I see it.
Okay, so it's essentially the same thing, but I just drew it a little bit where they're overlapping more. So the reality, let's say in this situation, you had an uncle who was 5'3", and he became a
Mhm.
basketball star. So your belief level in what's possible is going to be greater than somebody else's. So your what you believe is now encompassing more of what you want and more of a reality for you. And let's say you are 20 years old and you have the right body type, then the circles start to merge and the likelihood of success is greater for you. So that's what I believe is happening.
I
There's
have a dream body, for example, and the dream body is the two photos I sent you. It's just
right.
the abs and the obelisk and the shape,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been my dream body since I was a child. But I didn't think I would have the ability to do it because I've been skinny my whole life, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to think that that's something only person was just born with. That has nothing to do with like genetics or if you work hard or eat clean, you can achieve this goal. But when I started green dieting,
Mm-hmm.
the it was like in rapid 3 weeks, I started seeing all of the parts that I always wanted. It was
Mm-hmm.
amazing. And I didn't think it was
Cool.
possible, but I
Right,
started
right.
doing the work, and bam, there it was, and I was just shocked. Yeah.
I would say that from what I've seen of, your form in your videos, you definitely have the body type that can do it because you probably have a lower um, uh, degree of fat on your on your body than than the average person. So you definitely would
Yes.
have the ability to do it. Um, Now, here's where I think the greatest challenge is. The greatest challenge, in my opinion, is your belief level, but not, but it's the belief level that you're not aware of. And that's what I think is the most challenging thing to overcome is the belief level that has been programmed into you, that is ingrained into you, that you grew up with, that your family
Yes.
reflects, that your neighborhood reflects, that your culture reflects, that is so much a part of you that you're not even aware that it's manifesting in your life. So many of us who were involved in that network marketing company wanted to become financially wealthy. And it
Mhm.
is my belief, after reading many books, listening to many audio tapes, that the reason it doesn't happen for many people is simply because they've grown up with a scarcity mentality, they've grown up with a poverty mentality,
Mhm.
and they're not even
Yes.
aware of how much it's affecting them. So they can wish all they want, they can uh, read affirmations all they want, they can pray all they want, but it's very, very difficult to overcome a programming that says you can only make money at a job. A job is going to
Yes.
pay you 30,000 or 50,000 a year. So if that is your operating program, um, then it's going to be very, very challenging to overcome it. Not impossible, but you have to be aware that there's a story that Brian Tracy tells in his audio tape, The Psychology of Achievement, and it involves a man who was a salesperson, and his self concept was that he was a 50,000 a year salesperson. In his mind, he grew up, he developed his sense of identity saying, yeah, I'm a $50,000 a year salesperson. So, and the funny thing is, when they put him in a region where he had to get sales, and this region was historically a low producing region, every other salesperson in that region could only work so hard and they could only scrape by 30,000 a year. He was able to get to 50,000. And then when they put him in a region where it was easy to make money, he still only made 50,000 a year because that was his self-concept. So it's very difficult to change that. And that's why putting the work in involves also doing as much as you can to change that belief system. That's why affirmations are suggested. That's why reading books is suggested, because you now have to retrain yourself. And the first 30 years of your life was spent being programmed one way. So now you have to really do the work to train yourself the other way. So let me close this. And
Mhm.
okay. So that's what makes it challenging, is that you now have to unlearn all the stuff you've learned about yourself. You have to reprogram yourself. And that's where the majority of the work comes in. And that's why for some people, it seems to come to them easier because perhaps they grew up in a family that was already more affluent thinking, so they have less to overcome. So
Mhm.
their belief level is higher, whereas you and I might have to work to get there. Their belief level is already there. So they have to do less of that mental work in order to get the results that they achieve. But I believe it is possible. I believe that, uh, again, the amount of work you have to put in is inversely proportional to your belief level. The more you believe
Mhm.
that something is possible, more, to some degree, the less work you have to do, because the mental machinations are going to do more work on your behalf. So, yes, I do believe it's possible. And two other things come to mind. One is, uh, I've always believed that you can achieve anything you want if you have two things: courage and discipline. And I've mentioned that in many of my
Mhm.
books. The courage to do the thing, and then the discipline to keep doing the thing, even when there doesn't seem to be results, even when people are ridiculing you, even when people are saying, it's time to go back and get a good job or whatever. So I believe it is possible, but you need the courage and the discipline. The other thing that came to me to share was, um, in the Bible, it says, faith without works is dead. So you can have the faith, you can have the belief, but there has to be action, works, physical activity.
Mhm.
Faith without works is dead. The other one is a statement about prayer. Whatsoever you believe, whatsoever you want when you pray, uh, pray believing that you have it and it will come to you. So that sort of thinking is already expressed. And just for the record, the reason I quote the Bible is not to convert you or anyone else to a particular religion. I
Uh-huh.
grew up in
Uh-huh.
Jamaica, and let me just say, if you look it up, Jamaica has the most churches per capita of any country in the world. So we grew up with it. Just so you know, as the way people speak, also always referencing biblical text, the way the songs in reggae always have a sort of a religious undertone to them, reggae or otherwise. So if I grew up in India, then maybe I could quote the Bhagavad Gita or the Mahabharata, or
Yes.
um, the Muslim text, the Quran. But just growing up in Jamaica, that's something
Yes.
that we are. So anyway, so yes, I do believe it is possible. And and specifically now, as it relates to what you are describing, the body type. So you've already shown that your physiology, by doing minimal, I mean, I think, well, not to disparage what it is
Yes.
you've done already, but you haven't done a whole lot of workout at the gym, correct? This is just from changing your diet. You're already seeing the muscles starting to show up and the cut abs. So you already are predisposed with the right body type to have the sort of impressive abs that you look for. So now the next step is the gym work, and the pull-up bar. Like I have a chin-up bar in my apartment. whatever it is, the the regimen to keep doing it 3 times a week, whatever it is. So read up on that and figure out what you'd have to do in order to build the muscles that you want. But absolutely, my opinion is that you are, um, again, physiologically predisposed to it. It is a dream of yours for a long time. So it's just a matter of doing the physical work, and the
Mhm.
mental work to see yourself, in that reality. Oh, one thing that you may want to do is a vision board. So use,
I
right,
actually made one already, made one or two.
right, and then superimpose your face. You could use AI to do this actually. Superimpose your face on the body that you want, and then use that as a screensaver on your phone or on your laptop, so that you look at it every day, or tape it next to the mirror. So you look at a physical representation of yourself, your face, the body that you want, visually day after day. So it starts to become, your reality. So that's my take. But there is one other thing. If you want to jump in, feel
Mhm.
free. I'm rambling, but there is one other thing. Um,
Mhm.
I also believe that there's a component to this that we have no control over. I also believe that there's a
Mhm.
magical element, and we're operating within this this realm of the unseen. So again, the same 3 circles overlapping, but in the larger yellow circle, it's the reality or the realm of the unseen. And what I mean by that is, oh, despite your reality that may dictate that you are too short to be an NBA player or whatever, despite your belief level that may not be commensurate with the task at hand. I believe that there are things that can happen that are outside of your control that could speed you along to the realization of your goal just like that. And I believe that that will happen more when you are in sync with your purpose. So,
Mhm.
in other words, when you are where you're supposed to be. So, just a quick example. As you know, I'm a writer, and I've written many books. And while I was living in New York and Maryland, and when I came to Saipan, things started happening, recognition wise, that could never have happened in, or less likely to happen in New York. So here on Saipan, I was able to, um, write for the 2 major newspapers here. Granted, it's a small island, but the fact that I could have a weekly column on a on the 2 major newspapers on the island is something that is unlikely to have happened in New York. It's unlikely that, uh, I could be writing for the New York Times or the or the Daily News or Newsday, because the competition
Uh-huh.
is too fierce. The um, the awards that I've gotten, the workshops that I've done. So I was able to move further ahead, not only career wise, but also relationship wise, to be able to have the sorts of relationships with the sort of women I wanted. And that all happened when I was here, a place where I feel much more comfortable, where life is much easier. And I believe, therefore, that that's just validation that I am where I am supposed to be. So, in my opinion, when you are in sync with your purpose, when you are doing the thing you came here to do, you'll find that things just fall into place a little bit easier, because now you're in sync with the universe. And you and I talked earlier a while back about becoming a star in Kazakhstan, and the fact that
Yes.
you've had offers from people who want to make make you a celebrity in in Kazakhstan, and you
I
are.
actually want to add,
Mhm, go ahead.
I have once kind of I don't know, maybe it's a revelation, or I don't know how to call this. Maybe the universe was revealing to me something because there's another kind of I have this kind of alter ego because I read a book
Mhm.
about alter ego. I don't remember the author's name. If I find it, I'll mention it. Basically, so I recognize like because I went to university when I went to college. I chose to do theater information systems because I thought that's a good job to do to make a lot of money and have high status, and because that's just what I thought. That's what a lot of my teachers and professors told me to do and whatnot. But uh, little things in my life, or rather major changes that happened, led to show me that it's actually some kind of art or some kind of, yeah, like fashion or something, writing.
Mhm.
When I looked into my dating history, no matter what nationality the girl was, every single one of my exes were all artists of some kind.
Mhm.
And every time when I was with them, they all encouraged me to do something with art, which one of them was modeling or something, because they
Mhm.
said I have the body. I To them, to their eyes, my face, it's like it's very intriguing to them.
Mhm.
And when I came to Kazakhstan, yes, lots of people were pushing me and really encouraging me to do modeling or do some kind of work in this field, which could never happen in New York for me
Right, right.
because the competition and because there's nothing in particular about my body type in New York that's really outstanding. But in
Mhm.
Central Asia, like in Kazakhstan, in Kyrgyzstan, or even in Russia or China, I had way too many signs that said this is more like closer to your purpose than what I originally thought I was supposed to do.
Right, right.
And
And from what you've told me, the challenge is that you are resisting it. So the world is telling you
yes,
what they want from you, and but you are the one whose your self-concept doesn't include being a model. So that's the challenge that you have to overcome. It has nothing to do with opportunity. The people are there knocking on your door. Has nothing to do with physiology and reality because you have the body type. So the biggest or hurdle from what you're telling me is your belief level, your self-concept, and nothing else. And the minute you accept, okay, I am model material, it's just all you have to do is just say yes the next time someone asks you to do it. Like all you have to do is call up the person who offered you the job and say, okay, I changed my mind, and it'll just happen. You don't have to put in any hard work because you're already there. You're already there, and that's one of the things that a lot of um, self-help, self personal development books will talk about what they call the acres of diamonds concept, which is based on the fact that you may travel all over the world in search of diamonds. There's a story attached to it. I won't get into it. A lot of people know it. You can look up acres of diamonds story.
huh?
This person traveled all over the world in search of diamonds, only to find out years later that he had diamonds right under his feet. Yeah, diamonds right on his own property that he was overlooking. So the metaphor is that humans are the same way. A lot of times you are striving for something that's already yours. You're striving for something that is already presenting itself to you. So you are striving for a look to be, cut and chiseled for whatever reason. So whatever reason you're doing that to achieve a dream, but it's already yours because the people around you in Kazakhstan are already telling you you have the body that we want to look at. And you can imagine that if you were to accept a job, a modeling job, the amount of money you could make would triple and would double and triple, and you could get all the equipment you want. You would have more time to do the workouts. You could, so the opportunities are there, and it's up to you to recognize them and not to resist them.
Yeah. And to confirm what you told me earlier about the belief system, this resistance that you told me, it all stems from 100% because of the upbringing. Living in, for example, living in the Bronx or New York in general, their standard of beauty is very different from the Eastern Hemisphere, because in New York, as I understood, as I was made aware, the standard of beauty should be big, brolic, and hyper macho, and people made sure to tell me that I do not fit their taste. So they made sure to let me know that I don't
Yep.
look the
Understood.
part, and I should calm down and don't get ahead of
Right.
myself.
Right.
And that's from
Right.
years and years and years and years,
Mhm.
and
All right.
my
Now, the only reason I cut
family,
you off.
friends, teachers.
Mhm. The only reason I cut you off is that we don't want to dwell on that because, yep, all of us go through the same thing. So the trick is now not to spend any time dwelling on that and saying, how different this is from New York. Just drop it, leave it behind, and then go run towards your new reality. Because if you hold any bitterness to the way you were treated, it's going to hold you back. So, don't dwell on it. Just move forward with the reality, with the realization that you are where you are supposed to be now. So now you can just jump in, embrace it, and, see where it takes you. Um, and don't dwell again on, don't spend any time commiserating about how bad things were in New York. Just make it a distant memory and move on from there. So, but yep. So I believe that there are magical things that will happen. And again, growing up in Jamaica, maybe we're more prone to magical thinking and the reality of the supernatural. But I believe that and I've had my own experiences where certain things will just happen at the right moment, where money will just show up, without any explanation, where good things will happen. There are times when I was my roommate and I, when I was living in Maryland, we didn't have a penny to our name. Our electricity was turned off because, and because we were in that transition phase from being full-time entrepreneurs. And in various instances, things would just happen where we would either just find money, or all of a sudden the lights would get turned back on without us ever having done anything. So I've had experiences where things just seem to happen just because we need them to happen at that particular moment. So I'm a firm believer as well, getting back to the slide I showed you, that there's an unseen realm that will also play a role in your creation of outcomes, provided you are doing the thing that your life theme dictates that you are here to do. So I believe that if you were to look up the concept of life themes, if you look up this on the internet, Sylvia Brown life themes, there are 44 life themes, and I mentioned that in Turn Your Passion into Profit. But if you just consider for a moment that if it is true that you came here to live out a certain role, if it is true that you came here with a certain theme, whether you're a catalyst, whether you're a pawn, whether you're a hero, whether whatever the theme is, if that is true, then what is the theme that you came here to live out? What is the theme that you came here to live out? And it could be theme of celebrity. It could, and that's why you're drawn to come to this side of the world. Maybe your theme is catalyst. Maybe you'll find that being a celebrity in Kazakhstan is only the first step in you actually being the political catalyst for change in that region. So if you're more in tune with that concept that there's a reason that you're here, you don't have to fly blind. There's a reason you as a spiritual being, there's a reason you chose to come here. And all the things that you have been ever drawn towards, all of the help and advice that people have given you. So I'll tell you a little something. You chose all of your previous girlfriends, you and them chose to be here at the same time. It was no accident that all of the previous girlfriends were trying to remind you that you came here to do something in the arts, because you had an agreement with them before you manifested in this plane. You had an agreement that they would share a part of your life, and it is possible for